Hello, I am Colley and I am happy to present our work, Effects of a Gaze-Based 2D Platform Game on User Enjoyment, Perceived Competence and Digital Eye Strain. Over recent decades, there has been a significant shift towards digital media and entertainment. In 2021, adults in the US averaged nearly 13 hours per day interacting with digital content. Prolonged screen time, however, poses risks to ocular health, potentially leading to dry eyes and digital eye strain. Digital eye strain is often attributed to factors like close screen proximity, screen glare, and inadequate interface design. 95% of US children aged 2 to 17 play video games, which can contribute to these symptoms. Nevertheless, strategically designed games might help to mitigate these effects. Examining the current literature reveals a need for additional peripherals such as eye trackers and virtual reality headsets in eye tracking interaction research. Eye tracking technology can enhance game mechanics through direct interaction, such as using the player's point of gaze to focus or fixate on in-game elements, or through indirect peripheral interactions. Related work identified 5 distinct interaction mechanics: navigation, aiming and shooting, selection and commands, implicit interaction, and visual effects. Our methodology integrates several of these mechanics, including fixation, smooth pursuits, and both discrete and continuous input. While games research facilitates numerous interactions, such as blinks or metaphors, it does not directly address digital eye strain. Our research indicates that the implications of digital eye strain in the context of gaming are not yet fully understood. To study digital eye strain, we therefore introduced the game shedSomeFear, a 2D platformer game featuring a variety of eye gaze-based interactions will be elaborated upon in the upcoming slides. shedSomeFear combines eye gaze controls and conventional keyboard inputs across 6 levels, integrating classic 2D platformer elements like coin collection, puzzle solving, and boss battles. The core idea was to unify the game mechanics from peripheral vision and hand-gaze coordination, as well as digital eye strain exercises from existing VR approaches into one metaphor, this little bat companion depicted to the right. Let's examine some of the gaze interaction mechanics we've implemented into shedSomeFear. In this example, we demonstrate our version of a traditional fixation method, where players need to maintain their gaze on a movable object to advance in the level. In-game, the player must fixate the block with their gaze, which is represented with the little bat companion. While holding the block up in the air, the player is using their controller to move along. For this mechanic, the player needs to direct their gaze to an object. Upon pressing and holding a button, the object adheres to the gaze point and allowing the player to position it as needed. The player is relocating an obstacle to proceed downstairs. Follow with gaze in the smooth version describes a way of interaction where the player has to keep their gaze on a continuously moving object to be rewarded. Here, the target is represented by this bird sitting in the tree. Similar to the smoothly moving target, we also employed follow with gaze in a jumping version. Here, the player must look at targets that are appearing at random positions. In the repel approach, a combination of fixation and peripheral vision, players must avoid enemies while simultaneously using their gaze to keep them at a distance. For the reveal on gaze interaction, players are finding themselves in a dark room, only revealing a little circular part of the room surrounding the player position. Here, the gaze must be used to reveal what's hidden in the dark areas to maneuver safely through the dungeon. We tackled 2 research questions in our user study. First, what are the effects of eye gaze mechanics on player enjoyment and perceived competence? Second, what are the effects of eye gaze mechanics on digital eye strain? To increase the availability of participants and possibly reach a broader audience, we implemented eye tracking with a custom-built Unity package called UnitEye that is enabling camera-based gaze input. Here you can see one complete level. We then conducted a longitudinal study including 17 participants. 7 of them identified themselves as a woman and 10 as men. The mean age of the participants was 29.47 years. We decided on a 5x2 mixed design where the participants were asked to play the game on 5 repeating days for 20 minutes after work. We split the group into 11 participants that controlled the bat companion using a traditional mouse input, and 6 participants that used eye gaze to control the bat. As measurements, we collected the perceived competence, visual appeal, enjoyment, as well as the digital eye strain. At last, participants had the possibility to offer open feedback. Our results show that the perceived competence was significantly higher with the eye gaze interaction. We also found that the internal ocular symptoms related to digital eye strain were significantly higher for participants that were in the eye gaze group. However, on the external ocular symptoms such as burning or hot eyes or irritated eyes, no effects could be found. Also, we did not find any effect on dry eyes, the playing duration, enjoyment, or the visual appeal. In general, also taking the open feedback into consideration, challenges in gaze-based interaction enhance the player enjoyment. Eye gaze interaction seems to be a promising mechanic that increases the gameplay challenge but also increases the risk of digital eye strain. The eye gaze interactions allow for novel game mechanics that introduce visual dilemmas. For example, where the user wants to look at a certain object, but the game forces the players to rely on peripheral vision. However, this requires novel dependent measures besides traditional game considerations. At last, research on digital eye strain countermeasures can be integrated into game mechanics in an enjoyable manner, but effects on the digital eye strain remain unclear. Thank you for your attention. I am happy to share the game with interested parties upon request. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to my co-authors for their contributions to this research.